it's Amanda, and today I'm here to teach you some more great information that you can start to use right away with your kids and your family. But first, before we dive in about love and love languages, we're just going to kind of recap what we talked about last time about the 5 nutrition tips. These are the elements that every single person needs for their body to work well and to make new cells that work really, really optimally. Remember, they are protein, and the key here is sources of protein that are both complete and efficient, as well as fiber. Soluble fiber, beans are the best source of soluble fiber, and that helps clear out our blood supply and detoxify our body of all the excess hormones and, toxins from our environment and everything else that gets in there. And then the third element are those vitamins and minerals. And one thing to look out for when you want to get a lot of vitamins and minerals into your child's body or your own body is colorful foods. Brightly colored fruits and vegetables are great sources, as well as foods that are grown in soil or most close to their natural state. So legumes, whole grains, again, fruits and vegetables, they contain high amounts of minerals as well. The fourth element that we talked about was water and the importance of having enough clean water in our body, especially every single day, to stay hydrated and to just flush out. Over 70% of our body is water, so we constantly need to flush it out and keep it clean. And then that last piece is the essential fats, and those are like the school buses. If you remember, I used that analogy of a school bus. The fat is the molecule that can carry the enzymes and the hormones and the vitamins and the minerals and all the things to where they need to go in your body. So they're like the buses, the little transportation vehicles. So you need to have enough of those in order to get the minerals into the brain to work well and on all the other systems. So that was kind of recapping what we talked about last time. And then today we're going to switch gears here and go into a completely different topic, but it's also really impactful when we think about the health and happiness of our kids. And that is understanding them. And really the way that a person feels loved most is when they feel understood and accepted for who they are. And author Gary Chapman has this awesome book called The 5 Love Languages. In fact, he has many versions of it, so I would highly encourage you to look online, and you can see there's 5 love languages for kids, for spouses, for teens, a whole host of books. But the key element here is to know how different people in your family feel loved in different ways. And those 5 love languages that he talks about, I'm going to write them down. So let's see, we have 5 love I'm just going to abbreviate that there, since 5 love languages. The number one is, and these aren't really in order, these are just as I'm thinking of them, so there's not really a numerical order to them, but one of them is acts of service, and this happens to be my top love language. So this is somebody who has acts of service as their primary love language, is somebody who loves to have and feels appreciated and loved when they have help, right? When someone's willing to chip in and do something or to offer assistance and really just be there with them and kind of serve them, right? To do something to serve them. So this is key for me. Many other moms can probably relate to how valuable they feel like that service is. Another love language that he mentions is receiving gifts. So some people just absolutely love to receive gifts of any kind, whether it be, a hand gifts, I can spell, gifts, whether it's like a handmade gift or just when you're out, a little thing, like if you're out at the grocery store and you thought of, hey, my child really loves this kind of fruit, so I'm going to pick up passion fruit today, and you show them and you say, hey, look, I thought of you because I know that you love these. That can be something as simple as that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big monetary expenditure each and every time. But this, my daughter Isabel, is really big on receiving gifts. She loves, that's actually her second language, I think, but she loves to receive even a card or a handwritten note in her lunchbox that is very meaningful for her. The next love language is physical touch. So this, again, is pretty obvious, but hugs, cuddle, kisses when appropriate. Obviously, this is always appropriate physical touch, so if it's in between spouses, that's a different dynamic than when it's with children. But sometimes I think we forget about all of the forms of physical touch that we can have in our life and in our environment. This is Mike's top love language, so he really thrives on physical touch. And it's funny because he's like, yeah, I know that I always want touch with you, my wife. I've always been very physically attracted to you. But he didn't necessarily think of it and realize that you can receive physical touch in a variety of ways in your life, whether it be just kind of a pat on the back with a friend, or a handshake when you're meeting people or out mingling in social interactions, a hug, or a comforting pat on the leg. Little things like that. It doesn't have to be romantic touch. It doesn't have to be extensive touch, but literally just that physical, even if it's a brief contact, that physical connection with another person is meaningful for him and for those people that speak the love language of physical touch. If this is for a child of yours, that may be the child that absolutely loves to have their shoulders rubbed or their feet tickled, or just kind of a hug after school. Those types of things are really important for kids that crave that physical touch. The next love language is, let's see, what am I at? Words of affirmation. Affirmation. So this is for the child that really likes to be built up by your acknowledgement and by saying things to them. So maybe, you could give a hug after a great performance at the dance recital. You could even give them flowers, but that's not as meaningful as the words that you say when you're like, honey, I saw you smile and you seem to have so much fun. It was such a pleasure to get to witness that, or to see your joy. Words of affirmation. When they come home from school and have taken a test, you could, celebrate with, I don't know, a special treat or do something, but that may not be as meaningful to the child that's looking for those words of affirmation as if you said, wow, I noticed that you really studied and worked hard. Congratulations. This was a great accomplishment. Little things like that, or even like if they help a sibling out and you notice it and you're like, hey, thanks for helping your sister tie her shoes. Little positive encouragement, words of affirmation is really meaningful for that person. And then what am I missing? Acts of service, receiving gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation, and why is it escaping me right now? Honey, what is the other love language? Oh, I know, duh, I should know this. I'm like, I do know that there's one, and two of my daughters, this is their love language, so shame on me, I should have. Quality time. So, for my daughter Julia and Avery as well, just simply being present with them. And quality time is interesting because sometimes we think quality time has to be really engaging or you're doing something, but oftentimes it's quite the opposite. It's literally just being with them even if you're doing nothing, because sometimes being with them and being present when really there's not a whole lot of stuff going on is more meaningful than if you're taking them to a baseball game and then going to a friend's house and whatever, and you're physically in close proximity of each other, but you're not actually really connected and paying attention to each other or interacting with each other. That is the key here for the quality time, is the intentional focus and interaction between two people. So for a person that likes quality time, even carving out 5 minutes before bed and stopping in their room, if you have a daughter like I do, Julia, who loves that, even if I can just sit down on the corner of her bed and talk to her about her day for 5 minutes, that is incredibly meaningful for her, because that's how she feels loved, and that's how she knows that I thought of her. Whereas, like I said, Isabel, I can put a note in her lunchbox, and that's really meaningful for her. Taylor loves words of affirmation, so for her, it's really meaningful to say something. Yesterday, we were swimming at the pool at Lifetime, and she did such a great job of, learning to get across and paddle on her own. I said, Taylor, congratulations! Like, you were lifting your head and breathing by yourself and making it to the side, and that was like, you should have seen the beam, the smile on her face. So knowing what is unique for your child, and then being aware of how you can intentionally provide that to them on a daily basis, or provide that in their life, is so meaningful. And I'm going to share kind of a funny story about our situation between Mike and I. This is really important for spouses too, because like I said, my number one love language is acts of service, and Mike's number one love language is physical touch. And sometimes we don't realize it. Oftentimes when you're not paying attention, you tend to do what is most natural for you in the way that you interpret love. So in other words, I interpret love when people do things for me and serve me. So the way that I feel like I'm showing my love is by doing things for my family, right? I do things for the girls, I pack their lunches, I take them to all these places, I do things for Mike, and that to me is like, well, duh, they should see my love. But in his case, he doesn't necessarily, like his acts of service when he took the little online quiz was number 4, I think, or maybe even 5, I think it was 4. So for him, I could be spinning my wheels and doing a lot of stuff for him, doing his laundry, folding it and putting it away, doing all of this stuff. And to him, he kind of like doesn't even really register that. It's not that meaningful. He would rather have me go up and give him a hug and a kiss when he gets home from work. And for a long time, we didn't realize how being unaware of the other person's love language, how they feel loved the most, really can become frustrating, right? Because here I was doing a ton of things for people, and it didn't seem to be appreciated. None of my kids, and none of my family has acts of service as their primary love language. So as much as I was working really hard to do a lot of things for a lot of people, I started to feel resentful because I was like, man, I do freaking everything for you guys, and you're not even thankful for it, right? And the reality is, no, because that's not how they feel loved. They would rather have me do less of those things for them, quite honestly, and spend more time being physically connected with them, or spending those 5 minutes before bed, quality time, or writing the little lunchbox note. So having that awareness of what is the love language for the different members in your family is really meaningful for how you can interact and improve the connection with everyone. So how do we find out what those love languages are? Well, for those, if you have kids and spouses, anyone adult, I would say from age 7 and above, maybe 8 and above, you can go online to 5lovelanguages.com and and I'll put the link in this video, but you can take an online quiz where they ask you questions, and then it literally ranks from 1 to 5 what your love languages are. But if you have a child that's too young, like Taylor and Avery, they weren't able to read this quiz and take the assessment. But I kind of just look for what they tend to do most, because like I said, instinctively we tend to do what it is we want returned to us. So see what really tends to stand out for them when they're younger kids. And the younger you are, you're not quite as honed in and developed about what is as meaningful. So really doing all of these things and kind of seeing the reaction over time and paying attention to that will give you a good clue. But like I said, it's all about that awareness factor. When you can start to intentionally do things, you can just be that much, it's like work smarter, not harder, right? You can do less, but have a bigger benefit instead of trying to do all of these things and have no one notice. So if you think this information that we've shared over the last couple of videos, information about those 5 key nutrients that we can focus on to really get in and add into our kids' lives and our family's nutrition, and also these love languages, right? Learning how different things are meaningful to different people and what really helps your child to feel understood. If this stuff has been helpful for you, then keep your eyes open. For the next couple days, we're going to be sending an email to you with great information that has been so helpful to some other people that are just like you, other parents that have these same kind of challenges and is really looking to increase both the health and the happiness of their whole entire family. So keep your eyes peeled and watch out for that information. We can't wait to share it with you. See you soon.